Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone that came out. This is a big day for Arkansas. It's an even bigger day for the school children of Arkansas. That's why I'm glad that I have the good Commissioner of Education, Johnny Key, here with me. Glad I have the Superintendent of the School District, Gooden, here with me. This is the very first school that's going on the improved APSCN network, where eventually we're going to have 1 meg per user network connectivity. And today we spend a lot of money. We're spending a lot of money. We're glad that Cox is here to help the connection work, and we're glad Cisco is here to make sure that the equipment stays up and running, because their equipment's expensive and that connection's expensive, but it's what the students of Arkansas deserve. And so with that, you're next, right?
Yeah.
Donnie?
Well, over the last 2-3 years, we've really seen the need for an increase in broadband capacity. Not just driven by the online testing, which came about with Park, and will also continue as we transition to the ACT Aspire assessment system, and that will still be online, but also with all of the technology-focused, project-based learning that students now have the opportunity to experience. And if you look at a map of Arkansas, you can tell where our gaps were, because some of those programs just couldn't succeed. If you look, especially in western Arkansas, between here and Texarkana, a lot of school districts just didn't have the access to broadband that they needed to put in some of those projects, some of those expanded learning capacity programs. And this is going to get us, over the next 2 years as we transition to this upgraded system, this is going to give those students an opportunity that they've not had before. And we're very excited at the department because we're doing it at a very comparable cost to what we've been spending in the past. And that's something that I think the taxpayers will appreciate, as well as the teachers, the administrators, and the parents out there that see these opportunities growing for their students.
Well, I want to say on behalf of the Fort Smith School District, this is a great day for Fort Smith. It's a great day for Arkansas schools, because it's a step forward in the direction that we have to go to make sure our students are competitive and prepared. We'll say a couple things. First of all, I apologize for the temperature in here. I assure you the equipment is cool. The people, you know, they're a little warm. But the equipment is cool. I thought we were going to be in that cool server room, and I thought, this will be okay. But we're taking care of the equipment. Vance Gregory is our Director of Technology. He's right back here. Vance and his staff deserve a lot of credit for the work that they've done. They've not just done it in the last few months. They've done it for a long time. And I'm probably the oldest one here. And so let me tell you a couple things. Fort Smith School District has been working on technology for a long time. And we've limped along, as it were, because we didn't go with lightning speed. But we have built a pretty robust network. We've had good partnerships along the way. The APSCN system has helped us. We've worked with Cox Communications every step of the way. Cisco's been a partner with us. We've done a lot of things to build a robust network throughout the district. And to show you where we are today, we have over 13,000 one-to-one devices that are in the hands of our students throughout the district. And so we have over 14,000 students, but you can see we're going the way. This year, we had 3 of our schools that were 24/7 digital, which meant the kids took computers home and did those things, and that was a pilot, and we plan to expand that in the future. We're continuing down that trail. It's all about equipment, but it's all about people, and that's the key, Commissioner. We've tried to bring our people along, knowing that they're the ones that are going to make it work. If our students today are going to compete with students all over the world, they're going to have these kinds of skills, and we're going to have the speed. And that's what this network does for us. Mark, we appreciate it. We're delighted to be the first ones to connect. We know there'll be many more following, and it's going to be a bright day for Arkansas students. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's get started here. I'll plug this one cable in, and then each of y'all get a cable.
Notice he got one color, and we got another color.
That's what that way was. There we go.
Get your.
All right.
I'm always afraid I'll get it upside down. Now, is that working?
It's working now.
All right.
System's off and running. And so I guess we can take any questions if any of the media have, and you can take them offline and take them all here together, whatever y'all's preference is.
I don't know anything. You're the guy that knows.
So what physical work was required to get all this done?
Fiber put in, and there's a new, we call it a Cisco ASA switch, and ASA device and a switch that were put in. They're all sitting in there in a nice cool thing. They've been working, and they just started working. So.
Okay.
I made reference to Cox. We partnered with Cox, Vance, how many years ago?
It's been 15 years now.
That we've had our fiber network.
Yes.
To connect all of our schools. Said I'm old enough to remember when we had dial-up modems in the schools. And I'll never forget the day I went to the media center and I just wanted to see if it worked, you know. And by the time it connected, I didn't want to know anymore.
And I think from a statewide perspective, we can't understate the partnerships that we have with all the providers that came on board with this. You know, this shows that the businesses in Arkansas really put their money where their mouth is when it comes to helping Arkansas students. And the work that all of our providers have done and come on and partnered with us and with DIS, I can't say enough positive about their efforts and the work that they've done. And they were doing this work before, and now they've worked with us, we've worked with them to find a way to do it better and more efficiently from a statewide perspective. And my hats are off to Cox, AT&T, Century, all those that have come on board with us to help us with this effort.
Yeah, I want to put that in some context just real quickly. So you get an idea, we talk about a lot of money. Over the course of 5 years, which is how long we're building for right now, it was just under $65 million worth of network. And so that's a significant investment, and that investment is going to pay itself off back to the state. And we talk to any of the telco providers, any of the cable companies. The fact we're putting the big fiber lines in the ground means that we now have an anchor tenant in some small communities. We now can get fiber to those schools, but also to those city offices and to those homes. So that's one of the things it allows us to do as well. It's an ancillary benefit of building this network.
Please, it's popular to criticize federal government. You know, people like to do that. But one of the federal programs that works is the E-rate discount program.
Absolutely is.
And since that program has been in existence, we have Arkansas schools and the state network. We've saved a lot of money because of the E-rate discount program. And we commend our federal representatives, senators and U.S. congressmen, for their support for that program. It's just been refined and revised, and we pushed for that for a number of years at our level with legislative interaction, and we got that done. It's a big deal. It's going to go very well.
So to that scope, just so you know, as a state, we receive a discount of about 79%.
What was the speed per student before?
Statewide, it only averaged, now not true for Fort Smith, because they went out and bought a lot of their own stuff through Cox. But statewide, it averaged about 5 kilobits per second. And we're going to launch this network plugged in today is 200 kilobits per second. So I want you to think about that scope 40 times faster today.
And we can deliver more.
And we can deliver more. If somebody wants more, we can deliver more.
At one point in this effort, Mark and I had a conversation, and he asked me the question, you know, we can do this for this much money, or we could invest and get the biggest, baddest network that's possible. And I said, Mark, we want the biggest, baddest network that we can put together, because that's how critical this is for our schools, for our students, to make that available to them.
I want to, DIS Department of Information Systems and the Department of Education not always work well together, but Johnny and I, have a close personal relationship, we have a great working relationship, and even under his immediate predecessor, DIS and ADE became partners in this process, and we intend to be partners going forward.
You might also note that we're in an age of online testing. Regardless of which test you give,
Right.
they're all going to be online. And, that's the world we live in. The park test that we administered this year was an online test. Our staff, Vance and his people worked with our people in the schools, and we had a minimum of difficulty during that online park testing. And that's all because that we tested the network, made sure we had the protocols in place, and got a good result. And I think we're going to see that down the road.
Yep.
I know that wasn't true everywhere because they didn't all have the bandwidth to make it work well. But we had very few problems.
Is there anything you can announce on what the next schools to get this will be in the state yet?
So we're about 2 weeks away from delivering a full implementation plan. We are going to do approximately 126 schools this fiscal year, state fiscal year, and then the remaining 150 next fiscal year. So that's the rough estimate of the plan. And we can do about 3 schools a week. That's pretty much full capacity for what we are capable of managing rollout-wise. So that means next year my people are working all the time on this one project.
Why'd you pick Fort Smith to start?
Oh, Senator, great question. So a couple of confluence of a lot of events, right? One, Fort Smith had a contract that was expiring and we could step in and fill that void. Two, Cox was already the provider here, and so there wasn't a whole lot of new things. There didn't have to be a big build out to put it in the ground. And so those are really the 2 factors that drove Fort Smith to be first. So it wasn't because I'm from Western Arkansas. It had to do with the fact that there were just these other events out there that helped.
Dr. Gooden's been living a good life, and it just...
There you go.
That's exactly what
How many schools and students are now on this network here?
you go.
We have 26 schools and over 14,000 students.
You'd mentioned the 65 million number. Is that for the entire state?
Entire state over 5 years, yes. It's just under 13 million. It's 12.99 million a year. That's what it works out to be.
And that's the money essentially we were spending before.
It is essentially the same amount of money, but a much faster network.
Right.
So Fort Smith was getting its network from APSCN and from Cox.
They were, now it's all one network. So, Brian, to that question, APSCN the part of the role APSCN plays is the ability to connect to e-finance, the whole e-school suite.
Schools, finance, and all those things.
And so that's one of the reasons the network has to be a state network, so that that financial information, that student information stays secure.
And will interface.
And we'll interface back and forth.
Cool.
Yeah, so I mean, and so when we say $65 million, does not include about $5 million of one-time investment to get these security grades, so it's really closer to $70 million once you put that number in there too. We're doing some really advanced security work. I think if you talk to any of the companies that are involved, Cisco or any of the other security companies, they would tell you that we're pretty far out there at the edge of what anyone else is able to do.
And so it cost us 65 million. Is that 79% off E-rate discount? Is that off that 65?
It's all, most of that, not all of it. There are some parts of the network that are not E-rate eligible.
Okay.
There's hardware, for instance, one of the things that's not E-rate. There is hardware in that number, and so it's generally, I think it's about 75% of the network typically is E-rate eligible. The other 25 typically isn't. That's a rough order of magnitude.
Okay.
The security component is important for, that's something we hear a lot from parents and folks out in the state. That, when you hear about data breaches, in Home Depot and places like that, parents are concerned about, okay, what about my students' data and the transmittal of that. So this $5 million in the upgrade, that's critical to give. We want to make sure the parents know that that's being done, to give them the comfort of knowing that at the state level, we're doing our best to make that secure, and that Arkansas doesn't hit the news as being a data breach situation.
I've got 12 people whose full-time job is to make sure the network's secure. They don't route the network, they don't manage out in e-school or anything, they don't do any of that. All they do is make sure that the integrity of the network is there and that there's no data loss going on, we don't have any people on it. Now, does that mean that we're never going to get hacked? That does not mean that. You got enough people out there trying every day. We have 75,000 attempts a day to hack into our network.
75,000?
A day.
Does that $65 million number, does that include the metropolitan area networks?
Does not include the mans. No, those schools have their own mans, their own connections in between, and I don't think we have a good number for what that currently is costing or what's going to cost in the future. It's going to be less than what it's currently costing, but exactly what that looks like. Each school district provides their own man.
Did Fort Smith need any man upgrades?
I don't think so. I don't remember any of it.
No, the current man was sufficient for providing.
That was, again,
access.
that was part of the criteria for Fort Smith being able to go first, is there was really no upgrades that had to be done here, except really for 2 devices to be put in place. Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.